Hello, guys.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Yeah, it's actually evening on my side.
Oh, good evening.
How is everyone?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm speaking for myself.
Uh, yeah, sure. You can only speak for yourself. So, okay. I'm glad to see Sophia. I think she mentioned she was gonna have something around this time, but then she still made it. So I'm really glad to see her. I'm glad to see you, Bolaji. I'm glad to see you, Stanley. Thank you all for coming. Okay, so do we get started now, or do we give others to like 5:10 before we get started? What do you guys think?
We could actually start. They will join us.
Yeah, okay. Balaji says we should go ahead and they will join us. All right. Okay. So like I said, this meeting will be like every every day till the end of this week. Um, based on our schedule for the hashtag DetDepsy, we're supposed to be handling the 7-step method to achieving your goals as a developer this week. Then that's day 2 to day 6. Then day 7 will be um, implementation or review day. Review day, more like we'll go through all the things we've learned in day 2 to day 6, and then we'll make sure that we've done all of them. It's very important we do all these things that we're going to learn in the coming days because um, developing is what everybody's already doing. Okay, I believe everybody here as part of this program is a developer, so you're already doing that. So it's just that extra sauce that is needed to actually like get you to finish your project on time. That is really very important, and that is what we'll be discussing in the coming days, day 2 to day 6.
Yeah.
So I will just share my screen now. There is a document that I have. Can you guys still hear me? Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a PowerPoint presentation I'm trying to pull up and share with you guys. Okay. So probably at the end of like day 2 to day 6, you would definitely get this a better version of this most likely. Okay. So can you guys see my screen?
Yep, I can see your screen now.
Yeah, I can see on screen.
What are you seeing on my screen?
So the
7-step method to achieving your goals as a developer.
Okay, that's cool. Can you see is it just one page you're seeing, or you can see the other pages by the side?
1 to
Yeah, I can
6.
see 1 to 6.
Oh, 1 to 6. Oh yeah. That's how about now?
Full screen.
I did full screen.
Okay, full screen. Okay, good. That's what I was going for. Okay, so we have till 5:40 for the presentation. Then from between 5:40 and 6, you can ask me all the questions you want. Is that good?
Okay.
Yeah. So most likely the meeting is going to end by 5:40 because I'm using this free account on Zoom. And so once that's like my my bell. So when the meeting ends, when we reconnect, it's going to be for questions and answers.
Okay.
Are we good?
Yep.
All right, so we can start. Okay, so oh, these guys have given me away already. So this is something I did at a student conference that just finished recently. It's already there. A presentation at the Student Bee conference on Friday, 4th September. That was earlier this month. So the reason why this is very important is to a very large extent, I discovered that I thought I was the only one, but then I discovered it's like a common thing for developers to like start stuff, a project, whether it's from a client or it's from their team lead, and start the project and then not finish it at the time that was specified for the project, or even finish it altogether. I know like have like several projects unfinished. Okay, personal projects, of course, finished. And so I said, okay, I learned this not too long ago, and I've been using it, and it's been working like magic for me. So I thought I should share it. And no sooner had I thought I should share it, this opportunity to speak at this conference came up, and I applied with the topic and I got accepted, and I spoke about it, and it was really nice. The feedback I got from the conference was like really, really nice. And one thing I said I was going to do after the conference was to do this hashtag #DirtyDevC. So to actually get people to practice the things that were taught in this session, because the session was just like 20 minutes with 10 minutes question and answer. So I felt that was not enough time to really internalize these things that have been taught here. Okay. Are we good? Are we still together?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so next slide. Okay, some of this is, this is my fine face. I'm in love with myself. Okay, so my name is Jedidiah Maribu. I'm a full stack web developer, still an electronic engineering student at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka. I'm a learning community ambassador with Andela. Okay, there's this one, interim co-founder with co-found me. That ended like last week. I left those guys like last week, so that's no longer correct. And then, of course, I'm an aspiring Google software engineer. My ultimate dream is to, as a developer, because I wish to start my own business someday, but as a developer to work for Google. Okay, so that's enough about me. So let's dive into what we have to discuss. So today we'll go as far as discussing the first two steps. Okay, the first two steps to achieving your goals as a developer. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, the problem is developers are not really finishing projects on time or finishing altogether. It's a big issue. And one thing that we really help is project management. Okay, and I know in an organized company, there's usually like a project manager, and there's a team lead, like lead for engineers, and then most engineers fall into that. But mostly freelancers do not have all the setup. Okay, students too do not have all this kind of thing set up, and it's really is a lot more difficult for them to finish stuff on time. Even developers that are part of teams with project managers and team leads still have a hard time getting things done completely. So a certain level of personal project like management on your own will definitely like go a long way to really help you out here. So the aim, what we're going to be doing for the next 30 days is we're going to be using GitHub, Microsoft GitHub issues and GitHub projects to better your chances of finishing your project as a developer.
I'm just that not like now I don't know.
Okay, I think I will just mute everybody so I do not get disturbance. I really like your feedbacks. I'll just leave it open. Please try to limit any noise, background noise, and everything like that. All right. So that said, let us move forward. Anywhere you lost, you really don't understand, you have a question, you have just like, let me know. Okay. So learn how to use. The aim is to learn project management by learning how to use GitHub issues and GitHub projects to better your chances of finish your project as a developer. All right, so that's the aim of the Dirty Dev C and the aim of this session also. All right, so next slide. All right, so it's important to note that when you talk about project management in software development and almost every other thing, project management, there are a couple of other tools aside GitHub projects. Okay, so there's Jira. I don't know how many of you have heard about that. Maybe a good number of you. There's Trello, there's Quire, there's Rike, there's Asana, there's Zoho project. And a good number of them are out there aside these 6, but these 6 are like popular and are like notable mentions, that kind of thing. But for this, forgive me, there says presentation, but for us, it's like the whole 30 days, the whole 30 days challenge. We'll be using GitHub. And the reason why we're using GitHub is, I don't know how many of you saw it, but I put it in one of our intro documents. The reason why we'll be using GitHub is because of this, okay? It's because of the GitHub Student Developer Pack. Okay. Small pause here. So for those that are not students, I will address you in a bit. But for those that are students, let me just say this part. So if you, GitHub Student Developer Pack is really awesome. So slide here says there are like 100+ companies that are on this platform and are offering like services worth like up to $60K per student. Okay, so it's really amazing. All you have to do is go to this link and sign up. Just use your student email address and sign up. It's that easy to get access to. Okay, so that's for students. Okay, for those that are not students and are already in companies or are not students at all, GitHub is a very good option, and it's a lot better because you can house your, aside just having GitHub for project management, it allows you to also keep your code, like a code base. It serves as a code base for you, and it's just an awesome code base also. Okay, so most of these other guys here, Trello doesn't have a code base. I know I've checked out Trello. Jira, I've not checked out the others, but I know like Trello doesn't have a code base. Yeah, so GitHub is like, it's a lot better. It stands out a lot more than these other guys, and it's definitely just standard. It's just standard. It's just there. Okay. All right. So we're diving into the 7-step method to achieving your goals proper. Okay. We have like 22 more minutes. Okay. All right. So the very first thing you want to do when you have a project is okay, so take note, after this talk, I think I mentioned the email, we'll be having like, we have like daily info session, which is this we're having now, and then there are daily tasks which should be completed in 24 hours, recommended that we should complete in 24 hours. So yeah, so after this there will be like a link, if Google Forms link that will be sent to you for you to complete certain things that you would have learned from here. Okay, so yeah, that's that. So let's go ahead. So the very first thing you want to do when you about to build stuff is to really define what you want to build. Okay, so I want to ask at this point, how many of us Okay, I think I'll ask. How many of us do not have projects that we plan to work on for the period of 30 days? If you do not have a project you plan to work on for the period of 30 days, could you please raise your hand or say something?
I don't think I have one.
Who is that? Biology? Is that you?
Yes, Raji.
Okay. Who else? Who else doesn't have a project? Okay, so I think everybody has something they're already working on or they want to work on. Okay, so just biology. All right, so biology, I'll just take note of that, and maybe I'll reach out to you. I'll reach out to you personally after this session. Okay, is that okay?
That's
All right. All right. So awesome. We all have something we're currently working on or we want to work on during this 30-day period. So the very first thing you want to do is really define. The very first thing you want to do is to really define what you want to build. Okay, it's very important for you to define that. It's not just enough to have a project in mind, like a vague idea of what you want to build. There are, if you're working in a team, most likely it's your team lead giving you stuff to work on. And for someone in that kind of setup, it's a lot easier than for someone that's freelancing, because when your team lead gives you stuff to work on, it's more detailed than when a client gives a freelancer stuff to work on. Most clients just have what they want to build in their head, and most of them don't really go down to like documenting it and all that. But most times in an organized company, and where there's a team lead and then you're part of the team, there's like some sort of documentation for the project. But however that goes, whether you're a freelancer or you're working in a team, it's very important to define what you have to build. So there's a couple of questions you could answer to help you define, or to better define if it's already been defined. To better define your project is, you want to answer the question of what exactly am I building or designing. Okay, now before going into questions, the very first thing that you must bear in mind while you're trying to define your project is you want to resolve it into a simple sentence. Okay, that's the aim of defining your project. So if someone asks you, what are you building, in it, without telling stories, you could just in a very simple sentence tell the person A, B, C, D, E, F, G in one sentence, and if the person is able to understand that. So to be able to resolve into one sentence, you should be able to answer the questions of what exactly am I building or designing. Okay, so for me, for this period of time, I'll be completing an e-commerce store that I'm currently working on. So answer for me will be what am I building or designing? That'll be like an e-commerce store, and an e-commerce fashion store, actually in my case. So the next question is for what platform? So there are a lot of platforms. As developers, we know this. There is mobile, there's desktop, there's cloud, there's how many? There are a lot. There are quite a lot. Okay, hardware is another platform. Depends if you're building your software for hardware. Okay, so that's, there are a lot of platforms. But if you answer that also, it's also help you to define your goal. I'm building mine for the web for now. There are plans to do a mobile version, but for now it's just the web version. So for what platform will be, for me will be for web. So why am I building it? Okay, that's another good question. So if you're on a team, most likely your team lead has the reason why you're building it. Understanding why you're building it will, to a very large extent, help you to know what to put into the project and what not to put in, like the tools you will use and all of that. For example, my own project, the e-commerce fashion store, I am building it for a client, and the reason why the client wants to build it is he wants to really do, like, you know how you have people do African fashion, or Nigerians do African fashion, and they put it on Instagram and they have to go through all the hassle of getting your order, delivering, and everything like that. So he wants to do like a very centralized platform where everything just happens there on the fly, and it's like Jumia for just fashion items, that kind of thing. Okay, so that's his reason why. Somehow I've now understood it. So understanding that, okay, I know that, okay, this is why he wants to do this, and there are certain features he wants in the project. So if understanding his why, if there are certain features that he didn't put on the documentation that we agreed to, that he gave me, or more like I got him to give me, I can say, okay, this will help on this project, and I can recommend it to him. And that way you get, in the end, you get to build like a more robust solution, okay, that really address the problem that you're trying to solve. Okay. Then the last thing you want to do is if it's a new project, you want to get a name for it. Okay, so why I say if it's a new, sometimes your project, especially if you're working in a team or on a team, your project could be as simple as a login page. Okay, your project could be, yeah, something like that. It might not necessarily be a whole project, it might just be a contribution to a project. But if yours is a new project, if it's a whole like working project on its own, then definitely you have to get a project name for your project. Okay. All right. So at the end of this, when you've answered all these questions, defining your project, you have been able to, if you're an individual, okay, and this is where our tasks will be coming in. So you most likely in the tasks in the form that will be sent to you, you have a section that says ask if you're working in a team or as an individual, and then based on that, you'll be asked to submit these things that are like in pink bullet list. Okay, so if you're working as a, okay, how many of us have never worked with GitHub before? I think this is an important question now. How many of us have not worked with GitHub before? Everybody has worked with GitHub before. Ah, super. That's nice. That's really nice. Okay. So if you're working as an individual by now, after answering all this question, you should have been able to come up with your repo name, which is most likely going to come from the name of the project, which is the fourth question. You have come up with your repo description, which is answer to the first question: what exactly am I building or designing? You will have come up with there's this README file that GitHub has for every repo. So you would have come up with content to put in there. Basically, just putting in the answers to all these 4 questions will definitely give anybody an idea of what your repo or what your project is like if they should stumble across it. Okay, and then of course, if you are working on like a very big project, like it's a project that has like 2 repos or more, then you have like a project and then a repo. Okay, I think I will be sharing with us how many of us do not know how to set up? How many of us have never worked with GitHub projects before? GitHub projects. How many of us have not worked with GitHub projects? Hyacinth. Okay. Who else has not worked with GitHub projects? Only Hyacinth. Okay. Okay. You guys are really making this easy for me, man. I'm glad. Okay. It's very easy for us to follow along. That's really cool. Okay. So just Hyacinth. I will get across to you personally, as well as Bolaji. Bolaji said he doesn't have any project to work on. I'll get across to you personally also. Okay, yeah. So if you already know what GitHub projects are from indications, so project's name would have been you'd have discovered that also if you're working as an individual. Then if you're working in a team, there's most likely already a project, and there's most likely a repo already that you're contributing to that has a description and a README file. So all you would have been able to discover by now is you would have been able to discover what your branch name is, because most times, which is I think standard, when you're working on a team, any changes you're making, you have to like create a separate branch for it. And then when you're done like implementing everything your team lead asks of you, you would ideally now like commit and then like create a pull request to the main or the default branch. Yeah, so by now you will have been able to discover what your branch name is. That's if there's no naming convention already by your team. Okay, and then your commit message also most likely is going to come from the first question: what exactly am I building or designing? Okay, and I think conventional commits, a lot of teams are using conventional commits these days. So yeah, you'll be able to discover what your commit message for your conventional commit is. So that is that for define, the very first step. Now we head over to the second step. Are we following? Just a little feedback.
Yeah.
Okay, Bolaji said it's following. Is anybody else following?
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Okay. All right. Just to be sure I'm not on my own here. See. All right. That's what we can do in 9 minutes with the second one. Okay, next slide. Okay, this slide is quite has a lot of things on it. Okay, so the second thing you want to do, which is very important, is you want to write this thing down. Okay, so we've gotten the one in. We have like less than 10 minutes left. That's what we can do. I think we'll be able to round this up in 10 minutes. All right. So no, I am not upgrading using. All right. So the next thing we want to do is to write down these things that we've defined from the very first step. Ouch, sorry. That's tomorrow stuff. So we've defined stuff. So we now want to like get to write them down, and which is the reason for our the form I'll be sending across later today. Yeah, definitely today. So you can get it done before next session tomorrow. So first of all, aside filling that form, you will want to, the things you've discovered about your project, you want to write it down somewhere. Okay, somewhere that you can't help but see. And then the second thing you want to do is to read it daily. And the next thing you want to do is to, if it's necessary, as days go by, okay, is you to modify it. Now, I said if necessary because I fall into this error sometimes where I'm building something and something happens, I leave it, something happens, like I see something new, or yeah, most times I see something new and I learn something new, and then I come back to my project and I'm like, this can be done better. And then I start changing what I've already like finished. Like I start improving on it and a part of the project while instead of like trying to complete it first of all. So it's very tricky, this modify part. So only do if it is necessary, okay? And we will talk about more about if it's necessary in the coming days. There are a couple of other things that will help us determine if the modification is necessary. Okay, can you guys hear me? Am I too fast?
No.
Okay, very good. All right, so next thing we want to do is we want to get a physical representation of our project. Okay, we want to get a physical representation of our project. So for example, now based on the project I mentioned about that we're working on during these 30 days. So say African e-commerce fashion store is actually for just African fashion. So I could just maybe like hang some maybe abada in front of my closet, okay, to remind me that okay, every day I have this stuff to work on. And the importance of putting it somewhere, you can't help but see. If you put it on your phone, the disadvantage there is that you have to actually pick up your phone and go to where you put it on the phone to actually like find it. But when you just wake up and the first thing you're seeing is this thing. Now, the aim of writing it down, the aim of doing all of this is we want to be conscious of it. We want it to be our sleeping, our waking thought. That is the only way we are going to actually get this thing done. When we're waking up, we're thinking about it. When we're eating, we're thinking about it. We're having a bath, we're thinking about how to solve the next challenge on the project. We're talking maybe with a boyfriend or a girlfriend and we're thinking about it. Maybe if they're okay with that, of course. So it's very important being conscious of it. I know sometimes I know it's like a normal thing for developers, like not sleeping and all of that. But I know like a couple of times, like I'll be in the bathroom and I'm like I'm on a break, like I don't have my bath and all of that, and then I get this idea for how to maybe like a better UI or how to like maybe I'm working on logic. Most times I use JavaScript. I use JavaScript front end and back end. So there's a logic I'm trying to implement, and then while I was sitting at my code, it wasn't working. And when I go into the bathroom or maybe take a walk and I'm thinking about it, it just the solution comes and then I go back to my code and then I implement it and actually gets to work like that. So it's very important to actually like keep this thing at like topmost priority in your mind. It's one way you would definitely get to finish it also. Okay. So being conscious of this thing, okay, so putting reminders everywhere that we can help us see. GitHub helps us do this somehow. There are a couple of them. There's GitHub Mobile. That's a very beautiful thing that I think GitHub did. They came up with a mobile version of their web app. So sometimes I go on break from my laptop, or maybe my laptop dies, and I can still like continue doing stuff on my phone. Not everything, but yeah, some things. Okay, so that's a plus. If you do not have GitHub Mobile, I would advise that you go ahead and download it. It will really help you, like maybe conserve your laptop battery when you're expecting power and it's not coming, and you don't want to like. Sometimes like I know there won't be light, and I do not want to run down my battery, so I just like maybe start off on my phone. Then only when I cannot get stuff done on my phone, and then move over to my laptop. Okay, so GitHub Mobile is very helpful. Then there's Probot reminders, and there's a link there. There's a link there, okay, for Probot reminders. I think I'll just share this slide with you guys after this, okay, alongside with the form, so you can have access to these links also. That'll be great, yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be great. Okay, so yeah, there's Probot reminders. Basically how this works is if you have an issue and then you want it to remind you of stuff, you just put like a slash. It's like Slack. It's how you use other apps in Slack. You just put a slash and then you type in the command, and then when it's time, it's just like send you a notification right on your mobile phone. So it's like really awesome. It's cool. So the last one is scheduled reminders. It's a long link for that. It's like a whole story on how to get that set up, but it's only for organizations. Unfortunately. Okay, so yeah, I think I am done. So a review, then we end this meeting, then we come back for question and answers by 5:40. Yeah, are we good to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, so 5:40 is like, let me just say 5:45. 5:45. We come back for question and answer by 5:45.
Okay.
Ideally, once this meeting ends, I will immediately just restart it. So 5:45 is just to give everybody time to join back.
Okay.
Yeah, so let's just recap briefly before Zoom kicks us out. Show me we have like 2 minutes left. So the two things we've talked about, the things you should take home are the fact that it's very important to define your project, define what it is that you want to build. Excuse me, and there are a couple of questions to answer, but above all, there are definitely, these are just my own questions. You could come up with your own questions that will help you to resolve your project into a simple sentence. Okay, that's the aim. The aim is to just resolve your project to a simple sentence, a simple, meaningful sentence. I won't just add this thing here. If I use my parents a lot as my first testers when I build stuff, so especially for my UI, so I build stuff and I'm like, I just give it to them I won't tell them anything, just take it. And if they are not able to understand it, then I know that, okay, I didn't do something right. Okay, I need to change this or do this. So that's something you can try. Like if you resolve your project with a simple sentence, you could give it to someone that's non-techie. My mom is a very good example. So you could just give it to someone like that and then like see if they will understand what you're talking about. If they do not, then you know that your simple sentence is not as simple as you think it is, and you should like go back and do something about it, okay, to make it more explanatory. And the second thing we talked about is being conscious of it. Someone says that the shortest pen is far greater than the sharpest memory. I'm a very intelligent person, but I agree with that person. Memory is just like your brain, and your memory is just like an idea bank, okay? But it's like, no, an idea receiver. But the storing of stuff, wow, it takes a lot of work to actually like store stuff. Maybe it's stuff that you've heard of. Google. All right, so just writing stuff down is a lot more helpful, okay, to help you like for reference sake, mostly. It's really helpful. Okay, so all right, guys. So this is all I have for today for you guys. So meeting's gonna end in a couple of seconds, and then we come back for question and answer session. Okay. Are we good, guys?
Yep.
All right then. So see you guys in a minute.
Bye, bye.